Hello, y'all. I'll give a second for everybody to come in. I didn't plan on doing this live, so kind of last second, but let me fix this. What's up, everybody? How is everybody doing? Still give a second for everybody to come in real quick. Today is a very special, it's a very special and significant, very, very special and significant Jewish, I wouldn't necessarily hairstyle on it. My glasses are all messed up. Gotta fix my glasses, but hairstyle on it. Let's see. I need to be able to see a little bit better. My face is also just fucked up, which happens. They look off, but they're not, I don't think. They're comfortable with these. How you guys doing? No, it's really bothering me. There we go. That feels better. How have y'all been doing? How's everybody else? I never truly know how many people are in the chat. I think that some aspect of my analytics gets messed with, but I'll never know for sure. What's up, Justice? How are you? How's everything going? How's everybody's day? I thought today would be a good day to come in and talk a little bit about some stuff that people had a lot of questions about after. I'm doing good, Justice. I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Today is a very, it's a unique, the old saying, we have to stop meeting like this. Yes, that's true. For a while, yeah. Listen, we'll have to get together. You promised, you made a commitment, Stella, to, that you're going to come by on Shabbat. So one of these days, we'll make that happen. And what are you up to? Okay, it's hot here in the Netherlands. Is it? It's not too bad. It doesn't feel too bad, at least today. But today I didn't go outside very much. You guys know I'm usually at the beach or whatever with my program that I run. Today is a very unique. It's a unique day. By the way, we're in the Netherlands. Where exactly in the Netherlands are you from? Number one tourist population in Israel is ironically people from the Netherlands. So you didn't do anything today. I hear that. I didn't do much today either besides some religious stuff. There was some. Today is a unique day in Jewish history. It's a unique day in. Let me see if I can fix this thing. I think it's going to get any better. Today is a unique day in Jewish history. It's a unique day in. It's a unique day in Jewish history. It's a unique day in Judaism in general. You were born in Rotterdam. Now you live in the south. Rotterdam. My mother's maiden name is Deutsch. Like Deutschland. But I came on today and decided I wasn't sure if I was going to have energy. Today is a fast day. Today is the day in Judaism where we fast. But it's not just a typical fast day. Today is, why what? Oh, why did I not eat anything? I'm not sure what you're asking. I like to answer questions right away. That's why I keep this. I was telling somebody recently in the Scientology community why I refuse to, I refuse to let people make this channel any larger than it is. Today is a very it's a unique day in Judaism, and I thought it was an opportunity to talk about the notion of like religion, the meaning behind stuff like that versus a cult. I've always wanted to discuss it at length, like at greater length. I wish I would have let people know that I was going to, cool, I'll get to that, Justice, I'll tell you right now. I always like discussing this stuff. My bachelor's degree is in Talmudic studies, it's in religious studies. That is my bachelor's degree. So it's literally not just something I'm passionate about, it's not just something I'm involved in, it's something that I've studied since 9th grade on an extremely intense level. I was in the #1 high school in the country, private high schools in the country at the time. I was a lot more religious back then, but I'm more religious today than people might believe or see or whatever. Anyway, today's a special day. It's a special day for me. It's the last day. I decided to come on this live because I don't know, Justice, if you caught my last live, the live when my brother showed up. But on that day we were discussing the 3 weeks, and we were discussing the 3 weeks and the 9 days, and the last of the 9 days, which is today, which is called Tisha, the 9th day of the month of Av, the Hebrew month of Av. And I was thinking about it after I did that live. I did that live for a separate purpose. I was trying to make a point about something, and religion got brought into it, or at least religious practice or spiritual practice got brought into it. It wasn't something that I necessarily intended to discuss. And then I got a lot of messages from people that like even have my phone number, whatever, people that really enjoyed it and they had a lot of questions. They wanted to know more about it. It's okay. You can go back and check it out. You'll be missing out probably a little bit, but I'll do somewhat of a summary of what we discussed with regards to that. I'm not going to go back deep because that was really deep live. As anybody that was on that live will tell you, that was a very deep. Um, that was a deep live. I wasn't the only one thinking deeply in that one. I think everybody in the chat was thinking, and it was enjoyable. I don't know why it's not refreshing my. Hold on one second, guys. Let me do this. Yeah, that should be better. So, I was discussing the notion that there's this period of time in Judaism where we're extra careful for 3 weeks. Um, you'll do the recap if you could. You can like skip through it. I mean, it's not like it's important to be honest, but it's important for multiple reasons. Um, but we were talking about people that lose loved ones too early in life or tragedies that occur in life. That's what we were talking about. And we ended up discussing at length on some level, at least on some level at length, we discussed the idea, the difference between prayer and practice. Okay, there you go. You could expand that ritual. There you go. Okay, there you go. But in essence, we were talking about the notion that there's this period of time that we are kind of like extra careful, and we try to like when long travel back in the day used to be more dangerous. People wouldn't travel just during this period of time. People would kind of like be extra cautious and careful about the things that they do. And it was because a lot of bad things happened during this specific period of time in Judaism. Like, not only the original reason why it started, but if you look back to literally in history, and you were to say, what day was like from the beginning of time until today? What day was the most difficult day for the Jewish people? Just like pick a day. Like if you wanted to be analytics, let's figure out what day. People, let's say that like astrology, they come up with a lot of this stuff. Like if you're a Scorpio, then on this day, this and this and this, whatever. I'm not comparing the two; it's very different, but that's just an analogy. So if you were to do the analytics, it's not even close. The past 3 weeks, the past 3 weeks that we've had up until today, are the most there's more damage that's been done to the Jewish people during that period of time, during the 3 weeks, than ever in the history of any other day that you could pick out in the year. Like, you could pick any day in the year, and today would be the number one worst day, and then the 9 days that preceded this would be the worst, like up until today, and the 3 weeks in general, starting 3 weeks ago, including today, are the most difficult time. It just happens to be, this is not about like what I believe. This is like, you could look in history, like look at how many people in the Holocaust died on this specific day versus any other day of the year. You can look in history, just, when you say just most important days, it is one of the most important days. I would say that, yes, it's one of the most important days. I would say this, it's probably the most important day that's undiscussed in the secular world. If you're Jewish, you know how important this day is, but it's one of the most undiscussed days, and it goes back to the essence of what we truly believe in Judaism, which is the ultimate law: love thy neighbor. I hope the thumbnail came out correctly. I had an awesome time with my brother over the weekend. We got to really, really chill, which was amazing. We haven't been able to chill for like a couple weeks. We're crazy close, me and my bro. But we were talking about the notion that of just this difficult period of time, and how literally you can just Amy was in here. I didn't want to bother Amy today. I have no idea if she's fasting today too. I wanted Amy to, who is responsible? Okay, so that's a good question. So on this day, obviously, you can look back to the pogroms. You can look back to when the Roman Empire came in and destroyed our temple. You can look back. There are many people that you could hold responsible, but in Judaism, we hold ourselves responsible. And we believe that because we weren't kind, there's other reasons as well, but because we weren't kind to each other, we weren't doing the right things. Therefore, this became a really, really difficult period of time. Now, ultimately, the first time that this day was quote unquote celebrated was after the first temple, the old temple, like the wall that's still standing in Israel, the Western Wall. It's the time the first of the two temples were destroyed. The second temple was destroyed, unironically, on the exact same day. The first one, many years later. But when we got the temple back, it was destroyed again, and it was destroyed. It was destroyed again, and it was destroyed on the same day. And again, like I said, if you look throughout history, when bad things happen to the Jewish people, this period of time is so much more significant. And any of you that have watched any of the lives or any of the interviews that I've done recently, you'll notice that I talked about the fact that the plane crash itself was the day before the 3 weeks, which a lot of rabbinical people believe had a lot of meaning as to like why I survived and whatever. I'm not going to make judgment on that. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm aware of anything. I do believe in this type of stuff, but that's not the point of this. The point of this was to talk about the history of this day, the importance of the day, because I got so many questions about it, and why it's so important to actually stress like some form of education on this day, because it's not a very discussed day. Now, this specific, again, I'm going to refer to it as a holiday, but it's actually a day of grief and mourning, of loss. This is not brought down in the Bible. This day occurred essentially, well, yeah, if you look with regards to like the destruction of the temple, so this day became a horrible day after the Bible, the 5 books of Moses, so those were complete. This day occurred later. Now, there is a tremendous amount of rich history that can be read with regards to today, Tisha B'Av, the 9th day of the month of Av, but it's not something that a lot of people know about. So we mourn the loss of the temple. That's like what we mourn. We're mourning the loss of the temple. For example, we fast for 24 hours. We don't sit until noon today, until like we're talking about right now. It's about 4:20. 4:20. That's funny. Looking at my watch, seeing it's about 4:20. It's about 4:20 maybe, so at about 12:54, I believe it was today, we didn't even sit in chairs, like we sat on the floor. There's a very sad song slash, it is a Megillah, it's a scroll that we read from, that talks about like the tremendous, and there are even prayers. It's very rare that prayers are like added on in the history of the Jewish people. But there have been a lot of prayers that were added on this day with regards to the Holocaust. There are numerous prayers and songs after the Holocaust occurred that we added on to this specific day. I'm sure Amy will eventually see that I'm live, and she'll be able to explain some of this stuff as well as I'm speaking, but I'll try to work around the fact that I don't have Amy as my savior over here on my lives. But essentially, a lot of people were drawn to this channel eventually because of the cult of Scientology. And I was thinking about it last night, like after we stop eating, we sit on the floor, there's like a ritual, we eat an egg and it's dipped in ashes, and there's a lot of like ritualistic, I'll refer to it as behaviors, but customs that we do that have to do with grief, that have to do with mourning. and loss. Now, this day was always significant to me because since I was a little kid, a lot of things happened to me personally in my life during these weeks. And I eventually started to delve into studying what it was. And one of the things that occurred was that I began to believe that this day was actually one of the most unspoken important days of the year. I have believed that for a very long time, and I just thought I'd come on and discuss the difference between a day like today, which really proves the difference between a religion and a cult. So now I want to start off with certain basic education over here. We need to remember that Judaism in itself, to be Jewish, right? First of all, the word Judaism, the word Jewish, is an English word. It has to do with the fact that most of the people that we know of today come from the tribe of Judah. I personally don't even come from that tribe, but we've become accustomed to call them Yehudim, as we say in Hebrew, means people from the tribe of Judah, Yehuda. I happen to be a Levite. I come from a different tribe. But it's, when you refer to the Jewish people, we're talking about the same thing. The ultimate name that we're truly called in the Bible, it doesn't say the word Jewish at all. I mean, it talks about the tribe of Judah, but it doesn't say Jewish. What it does, it calls us the Bnei Yisrael, the children of Israel. Okay? So that's what we're called. We're called the children of Israel. We're not even called, yes, I come from the priestly tribe. I am not a priest. I'm part of the warrior part of the tribe, which I guess probably makes a lot of sense to a lot of you that even know who I am through YouTube. But I was part of the very physical components. But we did serve in the temple and my tribe and stuff like that. But I'm not a Kohen, which would be the priestly tribe. But yes, the Levites are the tribe where the priests came from. So Aaron and Moses were brothers. Aaron, all of his descendants were the priests in the temples. Moses, his descendants were the Levites. So like my great-great-grandfather is Moses, like directly. Hello, Jean. Hello, how are you? So as I was saying, so these specific days, they have a tremendous impact on me because it's not only like a matter of like service to God, like there's that component in general, I would say, with any ritual or custom in Judaism. But we have to start off with the notion that Judaism, especially the word Judaism, it's not a religion. It's first and foremost, you can call it an ethnicity from today till tomorrow, but ultimately it's a race. Okay, it's a race in and of itself. If I took a blood test, I could show you literally from a racial perspective, it pops up as me being Jewish. Yes, there's the notion of converts, although we don't have like missionaries. We don't believe people need to be Jewish. It's not like that. It's not that type of religion. We think I don't have a carnival card that gets me into heaven more or less than anybody else in the world. We all have the ability to do good, and ultimately have a connection with God. That's just what we believe as the Jewish people. But ultimately, only like 10% of Jews in the world even identify as being religious. So let's just start there. Now, within the context of the religious Jews, the Jews that practice religion, good justice, I'm not sure if I think I recall you being in my chat before, but my number one rule is that you guys have to talk to each other and say hello to each other. So I like that. Very cool. Anyway, so this date in the Jewish year, this date in the Jewish calendar became an extremely significant one after the temple was destroyed. Now, we also do believe in Judaism. Good guys, good job. We do believe that, there you go, good, say hello to everybody. We do believe, ultimately, that this day will eventually be the happiest day of the year. It just happens to be a belief. But as we sit here right now, and we don't have the temple, and we don't have And I mean, if you've ever been to Israel, you could see how the temple was literally destroyed, and all we have left is that one wall that has never fallen, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This day is a very sad day. It's a very, very sad day. We've lost many people during this period of time. And after the second temple, we believe, was destroyed based upon the fact that we didn't have what's called, we say there was a lot of sinat chinam, or sinas chinam. There was like hatred of your fellow neighbor. Like we weren't practicing be kind to your fellow man. We just weren't practicing that properly, and we lost the temple because of that. At least that was one of the major reasons that we lost the temple. So within the context of the religious components of Judaism, this day becomes extremely significant. It becomes a day that we, like I said, we sit on the floor for most of the, starting last night, sundown to an hour after sundown tonight, we fast. Obviously, if you have to take your medication or something like that, or you have health reasons, then you're not supposed to fast. That's one of the cool things I always feel like about Judaism, is that like whatever you're supposed to do, if there's like a health reason that would affect that, then actually you're supposed to not do it. It's like you get extra credit for doing what you need to do, whatever's best for you, which goes all the way back to why I'm always so interested in talking about the notion of identity and the lack of identity in Scientology in particular. How they strip you of that. In Judaism, we do not, it doesn't occur. And I'm not sitting here trying to say, again, I just want to remind you, in Judaism, we are the one religion that we do not have missionaries. We do not have body routers. We do not have any of that. In fact, we tell people who come and say, oh, I want to convert, the first thing we tell them is why. Like, why would you want to have to take on all these Jewish laws that exist? For what? Like, what would be the purpose, People joke, the whole idea of being the chosen people is that we were chosen to suffer. Not necessarily chosen for, that's obviously a little bit of a joke, but there's some truth behind it. But I felt like today, once I was able to sit in the chair, we don't sit in the chair until after the literally noon, not today. Midday was 12:54, so you would split literally from sunrise to sunset. So what we call noon in Hebrew, chatzot, like, which is half, so literally half of the day, went up until 12:54. So now we're in the second half of the day. Everyone's still fasting, and a lot of people try their best. If you have to go to work, you go to work. It's not a day that you can't drive a car or stuff like that or whatever. But there's a lot of people that take off if they can, and they listen to speeches. Some people watch movies that have depicted the suffering that we've experienced in the history of our people. It's a significant day. It's a very significant day. It's a significant day on so many different levels. But one of the beautiful things is that we're able to get together as a people, as a community, as a religion, as whatever you want. And I've had conversations with people over the past 24 hours that are not just Jewish, right? It's a day to make a certain connection with your fellow man and try your best to sort of, relay over the notion that I saw this billboard. I think I mentioned this on my last live, but I saw this unbelievable billboard. I'll put it up as a thumbnail next, but there's this billboard, and it's a big black billboard, and in white letters, it says the quote from the Bible. It says, love thy neighbor. So it starts off by saying, that law, love thy neighbor, with a question mark. Well, I meant that shit. And it's signed off, God. I thought it was awesome. It's like, if you can't even start with the basics, it's like, what's the point? So, in essence, today we take that opportunity to recognize and to literally cry. I mean, like, my rabbis have the ability, and they literally, it's like so real and raw, and you just see them like, just people that are generally so happy, and they're very sad on this day. It's a very sad day for the history of our people. But one of the things that I've learned throughout my life and celebrating this day, even when I was like really rebellious against Judaism, or against the religious aspect of Judaism, this was a day that was always important to me. Hey, thank you for being here, Amy. I was already talking about you, saying that I didn't want to bother you today, but I was hoping you'd pop in. Because today I decided that after the other day, a lot of people um, messaged me about that live that I did the other day with regards to the 3 weeks, like we were talking about the 3 weeks in that chat. And so I figured that I would come on Tisha B'Av after mincha, like after the afternoon prayer, once I can sit again on a chair. Then I would come back and I would have somewhat of a discussion on why I think it's so important to, um, let's call it celebrate, but obviously today is a day of mourning. But I've been explaining um, the origin of this day and how we've lost so many more people during 3 weeks, 9 days, and eventually the uh, Amy, yes, I'm not sure what you mean by my girl, but if you mean um, later how we met each other, I don't know what you mean by me and my girl. Um, like my girlfriend. I'm not sure if you're referring to that or not. I don't actually currently have a girlfriend, so. But, oh, you were talking about my girlfriend? Amy is my moderator. Amy is, she's definitely my girl. She's my home girl. And she is also, she happens to be from the tribe. She's part of, and she has a tremendous amount of knowledge as well. Amy's my only moderator. I don't want the channel to grow like crazy. I'd like keeping it the way it is, and I'd rather not have to have anyone else meddle with it. Amy does a landsman. There you go. You're saying you're a girl. I talk like that. I probably said like Amy's my girl. She's not romantically speaking. I'm gonna be there, Amy. I'm staying in. How far are you, Amy, from? God, where's the hotels? The Rad is in here. I'm totally doxing myself. I don't really care. Anybody who wants to come by can. I'm staying in the Raz Freehold, New Jersey. Amy, how far are you from Freehold? Freehold, New Jersey. I will be there. That's where I'm going to be staying for at least a couple days. But I'll also have a car there. So it's like an hour. Okay, cool. I'm going to be staying over there, the Radisson and Freehold for from the 21st to like the 25th, around then. I'll do a few lives from out there. Hopefully Amy can be on a live if she wants. That will be up to Amy. But going back, so I was mentioning that I think that this day it marks just a lot of sadness, but there's this aspect where I think that people can take a certain amount of let's just call it spiritual growth, or there's what to be taken from this day and walk away feeling good about it, like walking away and feeling like you've done something for the world to make it a better place. And we spoke about it within the context of losing loved ones. That's what we were talking about on Friday. Today I just wanted to go into detail because we were talking about the fact that today was Tisha B'Av. Today was a great day of mourning, and I wanted to follow through because people had sent those messages. Amy, a lot of people sent me messages about it. So, like quite a few actually. And I just feel like, we read something called Echa, and just the way that it's kind of sung, it has like a tune to it. We read that, and just the way that it's sung is just it's so sad. It's like a very sad, and the song like Al Narot Bavel, on the hills of Babylon. I guess you would translate that in English. The original song is so beautiful. There are many people that have written different tunes to that song, but the original to that song is like absolutely beautiful. I used to go to camp. My son is there right now. He's probably having the time of his life, best camp ever. I used to go to camp out there when I grew up, like really religious, and I used to go out of camp. And today was like it was like a day where you can't eat, and if you're like above, if you're already an adult or like a teenager or if you, not as a child, but um, it's a day where you don't eat and you sit on the floor and you sing and you cry and you try to recognize everything that's occurred throughout history to us as a people. But what it got me thinking about the other day when we were talking about this, it's like everybody was so respectful in the chat. The messages I received for people were just like super respectful. Everybody was just so respectful about everything. And it just hit me so hard, like how, like to me, this is religion. Like this is religion. This is religion. Seeing my community on this day, that's religion. Having the opportunity to like grieve the history of our people and the loss that we've had, to me, that's religion. Getting together and showing love to one another, that's religion. Do I talk about the death? Personal. I'm not sure which death you're referring to, but I've had. We were talking in particular about losing, and yes, I was talking about multiple people that I've lost in my life, and some of the. You'll have to go down a rabbit hole, Justice. You got to go down a rabbit hole, on a little bit of my life history. You could just Google my name. It'll be very easy to find out the info. I've been through some stuff in life. Let's just put it that way. But I do talk about death. I do talk about those that I lost. I do. I absolutely do. And I even talk about the loss of relationships, the loss of like the enjoyment and the enjoyable aspects of life. And today, it's just a day to really like look back on and kind of take a moral inventory. It is very much, by the way, Janelle, yes, that's exactly what's going on. That is exactly once a year we have the 9 days, and this day we are absolutely, that is an absolutely, that's, you hit it on the head. That's exactly what today is. Even more so, because like the whole community is doing it, and we're all doing it together, and it is, absolutely is. And what did you say, Amy? You mentioned a book, I think. Let me see. There's a great book. Oh yes, that's a great book. That is a great book. Amy, I was mentioning before you came in that on this day, a lot of people, depending on who you are, like a lot of people in my community don't watch television or film or anything like that, but a lot of people watch movies that have significance to this day. A lot of people read interesting books that are connected to this day, but that is a phenomenal book. That would be one that I recommend, absolutely recommend. What an unbelievable author too. Yeah, it is beautiful in a somber way. That's exactly it. And it's I was talking to somebody that I only met recently, kind of on a clinical level, so I won't get personal, like names or anything, but there's someone that I recently, somebody that was kind of like sent my way through a friend, like for the program that I run, and this person eventually started sharing with me how they're Jewish, and they were getting into the whole thing about religion. This just happened the other day, ironically, and this individual actually decided to go to synagogue last night. I believe a Reformed synagogue this individual goes to. Decided to go to synagogue, hadn't been there for a while, and had a beautiful experience. In fact, the person said it was so beautiful that in this area, which again I don't want to get into this is private details about someone's life, but the person lives in an area where there's like a few synagogues on the same street, and they all got together, which I thought was such a beautiful thing, that they all had like a combined service together. But the scroll that we read last night, extremely powerful, extremely sad, and it's a day where we all sit around and think about these things. Now, for me personally, I've always found it as an opportunity, just like Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, which are famous. Like I said, those are famous Jewish holidays, right? Like I said in the beginning, I feel strong about this because I feel it's the one holiday that we have that's, I think it's the number one unspoken about. This and Purim, ironically, which is a really happy day, but I think these 2 days are the most unspoken or undescribed, um, um, like significant days within the Jewish calendar. But the idea is that it brings the community together. It brings everybody together. I saw one of my friends was walking down the street last night, and he's not like a very, he's kind of quiet, not as social as let's say a lot of other people I know and whatever. And he was walking down the street, and he was like saying hello to everybody, just like strangers. And I walked over to him and I said, is this something you're like pushing yourself to do? And he said, yeah, I've been doing this for the past few years. It's something, and we're not talking about just like saying hello to Jews or anything like that. He was like we were at a red light. There's a corner where there's a red light, and we're standing there, and people had their windows rolled down. He's like saying hello to them and like talking to them. I thought it was beautiful. It kind of hit me right away, like, wow, you're doing this on purpose, like today, because it's not someone that typically. Sorry, my neck is killing me. It's not someone that typically is like that, and taking that opportunity to, to actually just be as kind as he could to his fellow man. And I find that the most important thing about this day. And I wanted to say something about it. I wanted to say that, like, when we think of something like Scientology, the reason why you're seeing me out there and I'm wearing my yarmulke, which I always wear, and you're thinking to yourself, well, you believe in the freedom of religion, which I do believe, all religions. So why are you getting mad or frustrated about this religion? And my response has become like, it's the same response, but it's become more and more real in my own mind. It's like the more I learn about Scientology, the more I learn about what goes on there, and the more I just continue to exist in my world, it becomes abundantly clear to me as to how as to how Scientology is the farthest thing from a religion. I mean, there's almost nothing religious about it besides, I guess, the idea that they believe in something, but even that's unclear. Otherwise, it's really not even remotely what any religion practices. Whatever religion you're in, if you're part of religion, and I know some people do feel like all religious or groups in that way, controlled groups, whatever, they're all cults. I'm not going to be sitting here saying that's for sure untrue, and you can make that argument, right? You can absolutely make that argument. I make the argument that there are religions out there that prove by nature that they're not a cult. They prove by nature that they are that they promote living life in a beautiful way. They promote living life in a loving way. And let's take something like family disconnection, right? It's insanity, absolute insanity. A Jewish mama is popular opposite. Yes, very different from the Scientology mama. Can you imagine? Can you imagine Amy, like, I don't know, a Scientology mom is not feeding their daughter pinedolach and chicken soup. I can tell you that much. Yeah, it's so significant that that I'm, I was mentioning it on Friday, and after I got these messages, I decided I would come out and I talk a little bit about them. There's a few other things that I think you guys will find interesting that we'll talk about, but I felt like today was an opportunity to just express what it is and where it comes from. And again, like I started off in the beginning, it comes from initially from they only create hate and disrespect. Yes, that is very, 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 very true. Just the notion that they don't engage with the public or other people unless it's for the purpose of dragging them in to strip their identity and become part of this. It's horrible, to be honest. Like, it makes me sick. Jewish moms don't let their baby cry usually. Yep. can't bear it. That is very true. Very, very true, Amy. Yeah, I mean, Jewish Scientology moms will stop speaking to their kids if they just aren't Scientologists anymore, which is crazy. No, it's not customary to let a child be in pain. No, it's not. Not at all. And that's the point. I mean, that's like, I think, the crux of why people have made it. We all know that we're this whole little community, call it what you want at this point, movement, community, whatever, group, whatever we are. Everybody's acting individually, but there is some sense of community here. And Wendy always says it. Shannon has said something similar, and a lot of other people say it. It's like, like we're in it together. Whatever it is, we're in it together. We're in this together to make the world a better place. And it's like, why would you want to do this? Like, why would you, a league? Okay, there you go. I like that. Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to go out there and from other people's perspectives? People in my own community that found out I've been doing this, they're like, why would you do that? Why would you not respect their religion? And I give them a little bit of an education on what Scientology is, and then very quickly they come back and they're like, oh, got it. Understand. And I'll even point out a few of the people from our community that they might not realize why those people suffered and ended up in a bad situation. And then I'll be like, oh, so and so, and they'll be like, yeah. I'm like, well, that was Scientology that did that. And it has a powerful effect when their eyes just go, and then they're not upset at me anymore, or at least questioning what I do anymore after that. But yeah, it's a really special day. You guys are more than welcome to ask any questions. I didn't give a lot of opportunity the other day to ask a lot of questions. I was kind of trying to. I almost felt like I had to hold myself back from speaking in a way like I was never like a full professor, but I did like a lot of. I was an assistant professor for a while, a few different schools, and it was almost like I was giving a lecture because I felt like it was important with regards to loss and how people experience loss, and how some people are extremely insensitive towards this type of stuff. That's kind of what we were talking about the other day. People say, why bother? You can't change the world, but you can do one thing. Yeah, listen, I mean, we all talk about this. Anybody that's been out there, Style Audit, yourself. We're not going to plant an idea in anybody's mind in Scientology. Oh, really? This is what I'm doing and it's this bad? Oh, I should get out? Chances are it's not going to happen. But two things. First of all, we're trying to make sure that people don't get brought in. That's one. And number two, which is a huge component, if they're on the fence and they're sitting there and they're like, you know what, this feels abusive, this feels degrading, this just doesn't feel right, you never know if you will be that individual to say, the comment that will get them thinking, oh, I can get out of this, And I think that that's significant too. I actually agree with that, Justice. I would say that I agree with it to the point, thank you, I appreciate that you're learning anything at all from me. I would say that, to each their own. I don't think that the public schools per se should be, teaching every little aspect of religion. That's something you can go study on your own if you want. I do believe in the idea, I sent my kids to private schools. That was my choice. And that's because I believe the public schools should not meddle with religions. I kind of agree with that. And I have my own opinions about church and state. I'm not going to get into that. here in America or whatever, and other Western countries. But the idea of just like trying to understand people in general, other communities, other races, other ethnic cultures, I think that can only make the world a better place. And when you're doing that, if you find along the way that some are extremely destructive, then sometimes you have to act. Keep spiritual secrets. Yes, they do. They don't want to talk about. I actually did a recent deep dive in this because I heard a few names of people that had spoken for Scientology, and I was curious to know, and I know that they have discussed spirituality. And it's interesting to me that they, Scientology would have them like once and then they wouldn't have them back, and like they don't publish a lot of the material. From what I understand, somebody gave me this information. I have to look a little bit deeper into it, but it's actually something interesting that I hope to talk about if I make sure that I have the actual information. Let's put it that way. I want to make sure that I have the receipts before I come out and make comments that I want to make with regards to that. But in general, I think to become a more tolerant society, to become a more tolerant world, we do have to learn about each other's religions. And listen, in Israel, I was at least spending about half my time in Israel for quite some time, working in the prison system. I actually live, like the condo that I have, is literally in a Palestinian neighborhood in Jerusalem. And again, I'm not getting into politics right now. That would be ridiculous to get into this stuff. But I'm just pointing out that my neighbors, I'm one of only 2 Jewish people that lives in this neighborhood. So I get to learn a lot about, their Islamic beliefs and all that stuff. And we're super respectful of each other, and we get along great in that neighborhood. I think there's a big misconception in general to what the Middle East looks like in that region and how people treat each other, because I'm not even talking about Gaza. So, I'm trying to, make sure that you guys realize I'm not referring to Gaza or anything good, bad, and whatever's going on there is going on there, and I'm not saying I'm not going to sit here and agree or try to make it seem like everything's perfect in this world. It's not. But in my lifetime, I've had that opportunity to be around another religion, to be around people that, other people will tell me they automatically hate me or whatever, and I live in that community, and everything was just fine. The French school, I do know I know the French school in Jerusalem, sure. I do. You have to understand that it's a very small country. I don't think most people don't realize how small the entire country is. Jerusalem is like the size of like a tiny suburb of let's say Chicago. Think of like a tiny suburb. That's all of Jerusalem, and that's the capital. Tel Aviv is more, the population is larger than Jerusalem, but it's the second largest populous city, and it's kind of the pride and joy of the country. And so yeah, I do know about the French school. It's kind of hard not to know about almost everything. And God, I must have really slept on the wrong side of the bed, as they say. My neck is. But yeah, I am aware of the French school. And, oh wow, somebody actually just texted me right now that they're still fasting. And they didn't expect to fast today. That's interesting. And there you go, 7 minutes. There you go. Yeah. It's an extremely small country. But I was wondering what your guys' thoughts are on, and feel free. You don't have to agree. Like people that that believe that most or all religions on some level are a cult. If it's said in an appropriate way, I have no problem with comments like that. I respectfully disagree, but that's it. That would be it. I just think the world needs more tolerance. The world needs more love. And on this day, we lost the last temple that we had. We lost it because we were not being kind to each other. And it said, that song that I was referring to, it said, Al Nahot Bavel, Sham Yashavnu Gam Bachinu. So that means that when we got to the hills of Babylon, the temple was destroyed, the Greeks marched us out at the time of Israel when we were on the hills of Babylon. We sat and we cried. So like people always ask like, okay, like that's when you sat and cried, and they say that while that temple was being destroyed, we knew why. We knew what had happened, and if we would have just cried one tear, this is what's just said, whether this is just a beautiful idea or this is actually true is irrelevant to me. The fact that this is spoken of is extremely significant. If we would have cried one tear, we believe God would have reversed everything. That's just the belief. I'm not here to tell you that's exactly what happened. That's not my position here. But that's what it says. When we got to those Babylon, we sat and we cried. That's when we cried. It's like when we were out on the outskirts on a huge, huge mountain looking over Jerusalem, looking over Israel, right? That's when we cried. We should have been crying right away. But once we saw what we lost, that's when we began to cry. But I was wondering what you guys thought, because on Friday I did not really give everybody who's been in my chat knows that I like to give everybody the opportunity to talk and whatever. But I really didn't give a lot of people that opportunity on Friday. By the way, a few people asked me about this. I know I told this to Amy, but a few people asked, so let's put it in the background in this little room that I sit in all the time. So you have all my greats. You have John, the big rabbi. You guys can see that picture just happens to be the clearest, but the largest is not even. Largest is below it over here. It's this like 3.5 foot tall poster of John Elway, and over there are the fighters that I trained with, and they were the champions of the world at the time. So that's what's behind me, by the way. I got that question recently by a lot of people, and I forgot that I promised that I would explain what was behind me. That's what's behind me. You guys can see it better now. And over here is a lot of stuff from the plane crash. Little Iowa stuff. This is for the dispensary. I happen to not really... You're a student of Buddhism. Okay, very cool. He said, I don't want to use what you just said. Seekers should stay with the religious of culture they were raised in. He cited the impact of Christian missionaries as a demonstration of why conversion can destroy culture. Okay, I can respect and understand that. In Judaism, we don't have missionaries. There are none. So it's hard for me to judge anybody else. So I don't want to pass judgment. But I think that's a very brilliantly written concept. Makes a lot of sense to me. I'll tell you that. Now I opened this, I can't close it. I happen to not smoke weed, but somebody gave this to me the last time at the plane crash. It's a little jar. My little Iowa treasure jar. Made for... It's like a mason jar, but... Yeah, style audit, you mentioned that to me. You mentioned that to me too. A tear is better than bitterness, that's for sure. Listen, I mean, crying is one of the healthiest things that... What's the thing, like, ironically, Amy was talking about this, which Amy was 100% in everything she said about his, but I will say this, that when a kid's born, the first thing you're waiting for to make sure everything's okay is for the child to cry. So crying is like the first thing we ever do when we come into this world. If the Jewish religion and history was taught accurately in the public schools and universities, this country would be a much better, peaceful place. By the way, I agree with you, Amy. It's the reason why, even though this is not something that, like, I'm fasting today, Amy, and it's not like the easiest topic to just talk about. I felt like after Friday, and I'm pretty sure some of you guys started to realize why I picked up the topic on Friday that I discussed. It had to do with some nastiness that was being pushed on some other people, and I felt like it was a topic that needed to be discussed with regards to losing people, etc., etc. But I did say to myself that I'll follow through and I will go live today. You know, wow, you've been to Krakow, me too, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, the truth of the matter is there are quite a bit of the Netherlands. Like I said, they are between Asia, like the continent, so including like basic. I think the Chinese, Japanese. I know Korea. Um, I can't remember, but they're like the number two. Obviously, this is besides America, but um, Germany and that just that area, but wherever the Netherlands, all over the Netherlands, they're the number one foreign languages that ends up being spoken. Like a lot of people that only speak Hebrew, they might learn a little English, but a lot of them will learn um, some form of one of the languages in the Netherlands because so many people come from the Netherlands to Israel. There you go. I love that you guys are meeting each other. There you go. There you go. That's cool. I've been on many occasions. My brother was kind of into that for a while. I can't say that he was. He loved it. I mean, he loved it. We would go to the temple there's a temple that's like kind of north of Chicago. It's in a suburb that's not far from like the north, like where I'm at. Like a lot of the times you see me in Evanston. So there's a temple. Is it the Baha'i temple? I can't remember. You probably know better than I do style audit. There's a temple it's like on the border of Skokie, Northbrook, that area. Evanston, I believe it's in Northbrook, but I could be wrong. I know it's right off of Northbrook Road, or no, I'm sorry, Lake Cook Road, which is like a very Northbrook, the Baha'i. There you go. Hang on, guys, my battery is dying. I have another battery. Let me just get this plugged in. And today it's like a lot of people eventually just take a nap. Like, you know, if you're not working, I'm kind of lucky that I'm able to like chill with the peeps in my program. But so today I'm where everybody always asks me, and I know that I'm saying it now. YG and YG123, you guys are not here. But Amy, maybe if you have their contact info, you could text her and let her know that I'm live right now because she's going to be upset she missed today because she always asks me about tzitzis. So, but this is like a very Jewish garment. Like without it, I'm just wearing my undershirt, but it's a garment we wear. Usually it's under my shirt. You can't see it, but I have a few of them that are really big and they kind of like act as their own garments. This is my really clean. This is the one that I wear on nice days, on days where I need to wear something nice, even though it's underneath my, like when I go to temple, it's like underneath my shirt. But this is what I wear on they make undershirt ones now that have the strings attached. Like these strings are attached to like an undershirt. Oh, and as we speak, this one needs to be tied. Look at that, Amy. Just because of you, I get to tighten it. Now we're good. But Amy, it's pretty cool that it's only an hour away because I'm looking forward. Let's see, I can imagine that because of the small group of Jewish people that are moving to each other to create friends and couples. Or is that a misunderstanding? No, that is true. We kind of like, as a community, we have to. There's only about maximum 14 million Jews in the world that we know of. New York and New Jersey, that area has the largest religious population in the world, even more than Israel. And then Israel is a close second with regards to religious people. But as a people in general, we do live in neighborhoods where literally people refer to, like I grew up in what people call the Jewish ghetto, which is West Rogers Park in Chicago. But I also lived in Denver. was a little in an area on the west side of Denver, which was a very, that's where, I mean, it's a much smaller Jewish community, but it's where all the Jews live in Denver, that area. So, I have to get rid of this nicotine habit of mine, but other than that, today's a fast day, so I end up way too much nicotine. I just went 90% of Polish Jews were exterminated during the Holocaust. That is a fact. And like I've told many times that my grandfathers both got out right, like when the getting was good, and they both joined the American military. And I found out some new beautiful stories literally just on Sunday with my brother. We found out some really cool stories about our grandfathers, both grandfathers, and what they did for the cause. But my dad, I know, is a lot of the family's from Belarus, but some is also from Poland. I'll assume that the audio breaks up. Tell me if it got better. You know what? It might be because of the battery. Let me know if it got any better. Mom's always finding to fix a blind date with a nice Jewish girl, right? That is very popular. It's not just I'm single right now, and everyone's always trying to. Hey, you guys know a nice Jewish girl? I'm more than down. I don't like being alone. Amy's gonna set me up. I already know it. Amy knows all the cool chicas. Mute to time still? Really? Hold on. Hopefully that got fixed. It's nice to be free of it. I stopped. Oh, good for you. Yes. I wish. I stopped for 4 years. When my daughter turned 16, I stopped. And then I was back in Israel where like everyone smokes, especially the neighborhood that I live in. There's like a lot of Bedouins and people like working out there, and cigarettes are $2 a pack in Israel. Everybody smokes. Yeah, when I'm ready, I'll do it right. I hope. I'm waiting to meet a nice Jewish girl who says I just can't stand that. You have to just stop, and I'll be able to do it. You guys hear noises? I might have to go back and come back in. Do you guys still hear noise? Let me know if you guys can't hear me properly. It might be the battery that's Jewish religion or this. It's not a stupid question. Not a stupid question. Oh, the phone alerts. Sorry about that. That did happen. Somebody was calling. That's not a stupid question. There is a difference because go ahead, go, Amy. Don't worry about me. You know my rule with you. You know my rule. I know it's my phone alert sounds. I understand what you guys are saying. No, it's not a stupid question at all. Being Jewish means you're like on a level of literally your blood is Jewish. Like your mom was Jewish, you're Jewish kind of a thing. And then within Judaism, there's religion. But being Jewish has to do with like being the descendants of, ultimately you started off with Abraham and Isaac, and then the children of Israel, who was Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel. Bye, Amy. I'll see you later. But yes, it's not a stupid question at all. It's a phenomenal question. I love that question. AY. Oh yeah, definitely feel better. Most people take several runs at quitting. I know, right? That is correct. I mean, it's a psychological fact. that almost no one ever quits on the first time around. So I quit for 4 years, and I gotta do it again. I have been doing pretty good actually, but today, because it's a fast day, nicotine happens to help with like cravings, food cravings. It does take away a component of hunger. So, but that was not a stupid question. It was a phenomenal question. It was exactly what we've been discussing here. That's what we've been talking about. It's not a stupid question at all. Not at all. Judaism is both a race and a religion. Only about 10% identify as being religious. But it's not like if you're religious, you're any more Jewish than anyone else. Everyone's on the same level of however, I don't know how to say it in English, but however Jewish you are, you are. It's not like something good. It's not like by being a priest you're more Jewish, or by being a rabbi you're more Jewish, or it's an equal opportunity. Anybody can, so there's a ritual meal on some of the other fast days. Tonight is just like a relief of getting rid of it. It's 1 hour, it's about 1 hour after sundown. So 40 minutes after sundown, people can eat around 40 minutes after sundown. So it's like a 25-hour fast, basically. 24 and a half hour fast. So yeah, that's when we break, that's when we eat. That is when we eat. But, on that topic, that's just like, it's kind of what separates in so many ways, the way I view the whole anti-Scientology movement is that we're not telling people what to believe. That's not what we're doing. We're pointing out that cults are destructive. And I think they've proven over their short period of existence that they're an extremely destructive, if they want to call themselves a church, that's fine, but they're an extremely destructive one. In my community, I don't think anybody would be able to imagine, even remotely imagine, disconnecting from your family. That would be something that's just so way beyond any kind of fathomable. Like when I educate people in my community about what I'm doing, they just can't believe it. They're like, that's crazy. They can't believe it. It's just, me growing up, not everyone in my family is religious currently, like my siblings, but my dad's brother, he does identify as religious, but he's not Orthodox, and we never had and my dad and his brother are crazy close, just like myself and my brother. A scam is a scam. Any money con is a con, like all the others. You are correct. Yeah, they're like everything in one. They're a cult. They're a pyramid scheme. It's crazy that people get conned into that. But then again, I have to tell you this: for how much they actually are out there and put themselves out there and allow people to know that they exist, they really are an extremely small group of people. It's just, even that amount of people to get harmed is a horrible thing. It doesn't matter if it's 1 or 1,000 or 1,000,000. It's just horrible for anybody to get, lost in that and scammed and etc. So yeah, it is. I wish that things like that did not exist in the world that we live in, but that's the world we live in, unfortunately. Unfortunately, the world we live in is a very, 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 very complicated place. Domestically, internationally, if you're thinking about it from whatever country you're from, it's a complicated place. Very complicated. I do like that, like the anti-Scientology movement, you have people from, like, in the chat, we have people from the Netherlands and people from here, and another person's from England or whatever it is, and everyone's kind of like brought together. I will say this, typically speaking, I would say that like social media has not necessarily like helped or harmed. Well, I guess in some ways it has harmed certain religions within the context of like in Judaism. Let's say there are people that we don't watch like I was brought up like I didn't watch television or anything like that. Like I didn't look at women that were not dressed appropriately. Just typical stuff like that. So you would like social media has kind of like made it harder to stay away from that component of the world. But I will say that for Scientology, social media has been phenomenal because it's just so easy to find out. I find it like extremely interesting that anybody would even get roped in at this point. It's so easy to just go online and see what's said about it. It's just you can't even find a sect of people that would stop and say, oh yeah, this is like a positive. It's just their impact on this world has just been extremely negative. That's just the way it is. SPTV for 6 months. It makes me sick every day, yeah. How can I handle it? I guess for me personally, I kind of, since 2008, I was very young, I became very frustrated. And then when this little, let's call it a movement, whatever, popped up, I just jumped at the opportunity. And you can, any of the local protesters in Chicago will tell you that initially I was not streaming. I was just there for people. I was just there to support what they were doing because I thought that it was a phenomenal, I thought it was awesome. So for myself, it's not that complicated or difficult. I feel like I like bumping into people. I used to go with Shannon all the time. I love seeing Wendy. There's not a lot of people that can come out these days in Chicago. I know that for various reasons. For example, well, I haven't really seen a lot of people I haven't seen, but some people were harmed tremendously, and then they have like restraining orders and they have to deal with that. I was thinking about like saying it, but I don't want to like talk for other people. But I'll just say this: like it was nice to see Nance Drew when Mindy was in town. So it's like just nice to see people. So I guess being there together helps. It was a lot easier when I knew that there were more people out there. It is difficult for people to get out there these days. And whenever I'm in the city, I try to just go there with my camera and the shades will get shut down, but I don't go live every time because sometimes if I go live, it's not really fair because I'm about to just go right off. I'll just go there just to get them to shut the shades and door and have that fear of me existing there. Yeah, they do get loved into it. Yep. Yep, that is correct. That's how you were pulled into the... What's JW? Am I being extremely ignorant here? Oh, Joe's Witnesses, I'm assuming you're saying? Yeah, I got you. I understand. Side hater. Yeah, we're all good friends. Yeah, we are. We're all good friends. Yeah. Yep. We are all very good friends here in Chicago. We do love getting together. It was really nice. When Mindy was here, it was really nice. Style Out was out there, and someone else who does not want to be named, but she came out also as well, and Wendy, of course, and then Nance Drew showed up. Trying to think who else was there. I think that's pretty much it. But it was really nice to be hanging out with everybody. It really was. I enjoyed it. When Mindy was here, it was really nice. Really nice. Mindy is so fun. I was just talking to her last night, texting her. Last night, Mindy is hilarious. She's such a sweetheart. She really is. Mindy is a sweetheart. Absolute sweetheart. She's actually originally from Chicago, too. Her grandma lives down the block from my mom. Like, literally down the block. Yeah, Mindy's amazing. So stuff like that. You have a good person like Mindy and Wendy, right? I like saying that. It was funny that day, Mindy and Wendy. And we all kind of got out and got together and hung out, and it was awesome. It was awesome. It really was. It was really nice. It was nice to be out there with everybody. And very much like all of us in it together for the same, all with the same goal. So. She is a lovely gal. She absolutely is. As we say in Judaism, she's good Yiddish and Maidala. Maidala. Mamala. There's Mama and Mamala. Later that day after I left, and unexpected conversation with stuff. Really? Whoa. Really? Whew. What happened? If you don't mind sharing with us, that one. Share. I love when you share. I'm looking, because there's another chat that I don't really pay a lot of attention to, but on today I'm paying a little bit of attention to it. I'm not usually engaging in that chat so much. I don't even tell you guys about that chat because it's chaos, that chat. But they get things done for me when I need them to. Who does not know anything about the Jewish community? No, that's okay. Don't be ashamed. Just, I mean, Google, the basic belief system. Google the basic ideologies behind it. The various communities. There are communities that have some that get negative press, and rightfully so sometimes. But typically speaking, we, I always say this. This is a great story. In Israel, it's so cool how you'll be in a car and the cab will pick you up, and you'll get in a cab and you'll get in the biggest argument with the driver about like different aspects of Judaism, and you'll be screaming at each other, like absolutely screaming at each other. And then you get out right before you go and you give a hug and a kiss. It's like there's a certain love there, but like we have no problem debating, various beliefs and stuff like that in Israel. One of the two most there's a lot of, it's awesome. The two jobs in Israel that are extremely, bus drivers, like being a bus driver in Israel is like a prestigious position actually, and being a security guard in the hospitals are. And most, in fact, I believe it's the law that to be a security guard in the hospital, you have to be Palestinian, I believe. I'm pretty sure. I will say that 90, if not 100%, it's 90 something percent that are Palestinian, and a lot of the bus drivers as well. But I find that I argue less with them than I do with some of the Jewish people in Israel. It's just funny. But yeah, the best way to do it, you're in the Netherlands, so it's probably hard to find, like after the Holocaust, everybody in the Netherlands. What language is your first language? Let me ask that question. In the Netherlands, maybe I can direct you better. But what's your first language? I loved it, by the way, when I was out there in the Netherlands. I loved it. Dutch. There's a lot of phenomenal stuff. I mean, my mom's maiden name, I think I mentioned this already, is Deutsch. That's my mom's maiden name. I would Google, just find you don't have to necessarily buy a book. Some of it's like easy access, but you could find out a lot just by Googling it. We're not like a very private people with regards to like what we believe in, and again, like I said, it's you're born by blood. You can take a blood test just like to find out if you're part African or black, let's say. You could take a blood test. Same thing with Judaism. You take a blood test. I did the blood test just to see, and it was interesting to see like my ancestry, how easy it is. It's literally in your blood. But that's the best way. I don't talk a lot about Judaism on my channel, typically speaking. The other day I felt it was important. Oh yeah, I meant literally Deutsch. That's my mom's maiden name, spelled like the way you just wrote it. Deutsch. Her name was Deutsch, like Deutschland. Yeah. Yep. That was my mom. That is my uncle's name is Deutsch. My brother's name is still Deutsch. Yeah, very much. Uh, I loved it out there. I mean, everybody treated me like old. A lot of people came over to me because they see me wearing my yarmulke or whatever. A lot of people approached me in a beautiful way when I was out in the Netherlands. A lot of people. I got attacked I got attacked when I was praying in a train station in um, Austria. I was attacked in Austria. Go to a kosher deli. Funny you mentioned that. In Austria, there's only one kosher deli, and not only did I get in a whole situation there, but we ended up at the kosher deli in Austria, and they actually smashed the window. It was really bad when I was in Austria. They really came after me, and we were just backpacking Europe. It was the morning time. I just had to pray. Universal fake element. Okay. That's one way. Yeah. There's so much literature out there, and it's unlike Scientology. Most of it you don't have to buy, or most of it is very accessible. In Judaism in general, like there's like Jewish libraries like all over the place because we don't believe that you have to. You know, there are Jewish bookstores that still very much exist. That a lot of what they do is not even necessarily just the books, but like they sell stuff like this. Because it's hard to make one of these when I'm wearing it. It's expensive and it's hard. So you have Jewish bookstores. Yep, read and travel. For me, that's why I travel. I loved it. When I traveled, all of Europe in particular, the purpose was not to... in Paris, when I went to Paris, a little anti-Semitic stuff going on when I was in Paris also, but when I went to Paris, we did not go to the Eiffel Tower. That wasn't important to me. I like seeing how people live. I like seeing people in their communities. I feel like that was the pinnacle of those trips. That's what I feel like. So. It's not. She's right, by the way. Style audit. This is correct. It's not like it's not like she hasn't looked. Um, Let me tell you, where Justice lives, there is very little Judaism left. That is true. The closest you'll get is actually in Germany. In Germany, that's the closest you'll get, and there's not a lot left there. Very small community in Austria and Germany. It's probably the closest that she'll ever get to. Yeah, that is true. But Justice, you're right. I just want to give you positive affirmation over there. I know that you're correct. I visited out there, and I know that you are absolutely correct. It is extremely difficult to find a Jewish community out there. Amsterdam, Amsterdam's pretty good. I went to Amsterdam for different reasons. I went and I did see the Anne Frank house, but I went for different reasons. Amsterdam they have one of the best delis. Talking about delis, Amsterdam is one of the best delis, right off of the river. Great point. Amsterdam might be one of the largest in your area. And again, it's still not very large, but Amsterdam is very much so. If you can, there's a train that literally there's a stop right by the Jewish quarters in Amsterdam. But that's also probably not that close. Too far away from you, unfortunately. See, that's exactly correct. That's why I'm giving you credit, Justice. I'm telling you that you're not unless you have the ability to really travel, which is difficult to just travel just for that. You're gonna have a difficult time learning about it. But you can find a lot online, man. I mean, just Google. You can Google my dissertation. I was thinking about it. Some people have been asking recently. I'm thinking about sending out to some of you guys my dissertation. I talk about like rebellious teens, troubled teens within the community that I come from. That's what my dissertation is about. But the whole review that you always have to write in the beginning, like the preamble to the dissertation, which is like at least 100 pages. Actually, I won an award. I won like the certificate from the city in Chicago for the initial portion of my dissertation because they felt like I did a great job of breaking down Judaism. The answer is these days, right? Google. Yeah, right? That is the answer these days. Google. That is. Fortunately or unfortunately, that is the answer. That's just the way she goes. Google is, when it comes to, just make sure you're getting solid solid info from the right. But you'll be able to tell really easily. I mean, I could start naming authors. I'm not going to because like whatever you find will be good. But just make sure you're reading something that was written by somebody who's like clearly known for being knowledgeable in that area. You don't want to. You might just, sometimes you bump into the wrong sources. But typically speaking, the sources are pretty good if you're looking just for like an education. Yeah. Google is the answer. So many people. Oh, I'm trying to think of like someone I would recommend for beginners. There's a book called, let me remember the title of the book. Well, I'll tell you what I would do. I would look on a commentary, start like with the fact that like, what do the 5 books of Moses signify? Like, what's the significance of the 5 books of Moses in Judaism? And then find someone's commentary that you find to be like an easy read. I would say that's like one of the best ways, because that you're literally starting from the ground up in that sense. Like you're kind of starting from the original source of where a lot of what we believe and what we, so that's a pretty good, it's a pretty good like Google, because I want to throw out names, but I don't want to steer you towards like, let's say somebody that I just personally recommend. Eli White, Eli is very famous from the, as a survivor from the Holocaust. He talks about it, but I wouldn't even say that necessarily from, go on Google. If you ever have, you can send me a message and ask me if I think that a book is a good one. I obviously have a degree in this field, so I do have some knowledge with regards to it. My doctorate is in not in Scientology. My doctorate's in psychology, which makes Scientology hate me even more, but yeah. You're right, Janelle. That is true. They will just start coming. You can find it's true, Style, right about that too. There's a lot out there. There's a lot out there. One of the speeches that I've given, that's, you know what? I do have a source. I do. Look online. I actually spoke for them one time. It was an honor that they asked me to speak. There's something called A Wheel of Wisdom. A Wheel of Wisdom. It's a series that every week in Chicago they have like a speaker, and it's actually meant specifically for people in the Jewish community that want to learn more about the Jewish community. So actually, there you go. I do have a great source for you. Look that up. And then I'll tell you another one. Rabbi Avigdor Miller. When Amy comes in the next time in the chat, I'm going to have her write these names, but Rabbi Avigdor Miller famously wrote a book called Rejoice, O Youth. And he wrote it like a novel. And Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, A Wheel of Wisdom, yes. A Wheel of Wisdom is one, that's just one that I know of that's like currently going on right now. But I would look up Rabbi Avigdor Miller. That's Avigdor, last name Miller, Miller. Not Victor, no. Avigdor. A as in apple, V as in Victor, and then IG, G as in go. Victor Miller, and Rabbi Moses Feinstein is a famous one also. No, Jelu, it's still a. So Avigdor, Avigdor, and then Miller with an E. He wrote a book called Rejoice, O Youth. Rejoice, O Youth is one of my favorite books that I've ever read. Like, I would say it's up there with, like, I love that book, Catcher in the Rye. I would say that my second favorite book possibly is a book called Rejoice, O Youth. It's a phenomenal book. Good, accurate fiction. I like that. That's not untrue. But we know that there are some science fiction writers that were some of the worst science fiction writers to ever exist. And an entire religion came because of it. Which is hilarious. It just boggles my mind. I tried so hard to read multiple. Yes, the first name is correct. Just add an E before the R. But it should pop right up. Like, even if you typed it that way, it's going to pop right up. That's one author that I love personally. But again, that's a personal thing. You can find whatever's, really good that you enjoy. But I found him to be he was an ultra-Orthodox rabbi, may he rest in peace. But he did a really great job of breaking certain things down. For me, even, but what I loved about him is most people could pick up a book that he wrote, whether you're the most knowledgeable individual in Judaism or you're a beginner. It seems like he wrote books that like anybody could pick them up and read them. There you go. Okay, good. Screenshots are sometimes the best way to remind yourself of things. I agree. I agree. But I'm an open book. I got like a couple more minutes. And if you have questions, I can definitely answer some questions. Your initial question was not a bad question at all when you initially had that question. So all questions are good. Again, another reason why Scientology is not even remotely in the Judaism. I'll speak for Judaism. Asking questions is promoted. It's not only okay, it's promoted. The entire series, the Talmud, was a bunch of people asking questions and coming up with answers that made the most sense or whatever. So I will tell you that without a doubt, it is promoted. Asking questions in Scientology is not promoted at all. You ask a question, they can't even answer it. Buy a book. Watch this movie. It's just, that part to me is what really, makes it crazy. It's just like, it's promoted in a way where asking questions is against its entire, it bothers me so much, but yeah. It bothers me so much. But I was going to wait till a couple people popped in. It's been a privilege to share. Thank you. I appreciate you guys coming in, stopping by. I wanted to keep my promise. And Hopefully I did it justice. I want you all to have a good day. Good, peaceful, loving day. Love thy neighbor. All right, guys. No, you asked great questions. You want me to tell you something? Let's leave off with something. I'll leave off with some piece of knowledge. So, I'll tell you this, Justice. Pop into my chat the next time after you looked into some stuff and ask me any question you want, and I will answer those questions. Today, it's like I'm probably going to take a nap just because for the past almost 24 hours already, I haven't had anything to eat or drink. But, so my brain's not thinking 100% clearly. I would literally start with like, what do the 10 commandments mean? What are the significance of it? And that's it. And then ask any questions you have. Crossing things. Oh my gosh, style at it. You're awesome. Oh. Yeah. Yep, those are good questions to ask in general. Not those questions. In Judaism, that's promoted. There are so many books written just regarding that. Just regarding that. And yes, Shabbat is at different hours in Israel than it is in America because of, but that's a great question. That's a great question. It's actually a question that's discussed in great detail in Judaism. But I'm going to sign out, guys. You guys are the best. You guys are always the best. Have an amazing cult-free day.